So Resident Evil 6 is out, and this thing is just everywhere. Conversation about it is completely prevalent across, the internet, podcasts, print. Everybody is talking about Resident Evil 6, and not necessarily for the reasons I think that Capcom wants. Seems like there's just been some outcry over this game and just the way that it plays out. Your Resident Evil purists are saying that it's not necessarily a pure Resident Evil game. There are moments in it that don't feel very Resident Evil-like. And part of that, and into Capcom's own admission, is that they wanted to go out and make a game that essentially could broaden the Resident Evil audience. Because what game needs more of a broadened audience than a game that has 5 full-length feature films? And a 6th one already being greenlit. Supposedly, the rumor's saying that the 6th one's greenlit. I mean, Resident Evil is one of those series up there with like Final Fantasy. Maybe not necessarily on the level of Mario, but I bet you the argument could be made that it is. I mean, everybody knows what Resident Evil is. It doesn't matter what the game content is. It's going to sell. I mean, I don't understand what Capcom was thinking when they say they need to broaden the audience of Resident Evil. I mean, just slap a name on it and people will buy it. Resident Evil Raccoon City says hi. That was a game that really is a Resident Evil game. They put the skin on it and everybody goes out and buys the game, right? So, I'm coming out, though, and saying thank you, Capcom, for making this game. To make a game where your purists are so outraged and so just somewhat disgusted, I guess, if you want to say at the game, that, I think everybody should be thanking them. Yeah, it sucks you had to wait 3 years for this game to come out. But you know what the beauty is? The next game you're going to get, the next Resident Evil installment you're going to get, it's probably going to be as much Resident Evil as you could possibly imagine, right? To have a game like this come out, Resident Evil 6, that is so action-packed, and I mean, there's moments where you're with groups of survivors in this game. That's not Resident Evil. I mean, Resident Evil, maybe you had a co-op person with you that, in the previous titles was generally an AI person with you, but you had just that solo kind of very... just moment by yourself, and that's what really led to a lot of those scare moments in this. In this, by having multiple people with you, it's not really creating that. Again, thank you, Capcom, for making this game, because the next one we're going to get is going to be the true Resident Evil. I mean, I can almost guarantee you that the next one that we see in not the spin-off games, but in the actual Resident Evil series, if you want to say, or these numbered games, isn't even going to be numbered. It's just going to be Resident Evil. It's just going to be a reboot of the series. Give us new characters, give us new stories. To just keep coming out with new viruses isn't necessarily as original as it could be. But I can guarantee you, after the outrage over this, Capcom's going to go back to the drawing board. They're going to look at everything that they've done and go back and really hit on what makes this series so great, or made it so great in the past. I'm not necessarily saying Resident Evil 6 is a terrible game, because, honestly, I actually like the cinematic presentation and all that of it and kind of enjoy the direction of it. But I can see why people are being upset. But again, the silver lining on this is the fact that after this, they're going to go back and make the real Resident Evil game that you want. I can guarantee it. So thank you, Capcom, for putting this game out. And we know where you're going to go next. So thank you. Thank you very much.